Hi, this is Roger in Finland, and today we're going to be talking about the HDMI output resolutions of the Zcam E2-S6. So for the impatient ones, the HDMI out resolution seems to depend on what internal resolution are you recording in, because I'm not using ProRes RAW for these tests, what frame rate are you using, and what device do you have plugged into your camera via the HDMI. And if you're really impatient, please just take a look at this table. So in today's installment of Please Don't Ask Me for cinematic samples of the camera, but I am a systematic engineer and a camera nerd, so this is what happens when you give this type of device to me, and it was not given because I bought it. We're gonna have a deep dive into more nerd specs after all the crop videos that you can see, not here, but there. Then how am I making this test? So I do have the Zcam E2-S6 plugged into a monitor via a cable through the HDMI. That's kind of simple. But I'm using for both cases the ZR cable. Sorry, I can't pronounce that. Then I've been doing the test with the Feelworld LUT6 and then with the Atomos Ninja 5 as a monitor. Then I've done the test both having the info on. Then I have done the test having the information display off via HDMI, so you can have a clean feed, and also having the information on, having a LUT on, having a peaking on, and having the waveform on to see whether any of those things, which do take some processing power, affect the output resolution. And I'm not sure if it's surprising or not, but they do not affect the output resolution. A quick intermission because I was reading through some of the Facebook community posts about this HDMI issue, and some people have had the problem of at certain frame rates not having some of visual assist, so I had to retest this. I just tested again my S6 plugged into the Ninja 5 with a ZR cable at 4K VFR 75 frames per second. The resolution does drop to 720, but you can still use peaking and LUTs and waveforms all at the same time. Initially, I just wanted to do this test with the LUT6, which is the monitor that I'm usually using with the Zcam E2-S6. I'm using it right now, but I was a bit surprised that the output resolution was picking up at full HD or 1080p. So depending on the resolution, frame rate combination type of thing, it was using either 1080p or 720p. And actually even went to the menus to see, could I select manually any other resolution? And no, only those two are available. But then I thought, this cannot be true, because if somebody wants to record into an Atomos Ninja 5 not using ProRes RAW, I'm pretty sure that they want to record at higher resolution, and I'm also sure that it's actually possible, otherwise this would be pretty silly. So I thought, well, since I have the Atomos Ninja 5, let's give it a test. By the way, I find it a little bit weird that the HDMI settings are in the connect page. I'm always going to either the video or to the record, because I assume that the video, HDMI, that's there, but they are in the connect settings. That for me would be more about the Bluetooth connectivity or the network and whatnot. Just a small comment. But then when I plugged the Ninja 5, it got me different resolutions and more options. Suddenly it was possible to have an output of 4K, actually either through 4K DCI or UHD, but that was possible. And then in some resolutions, then it goes down to 1080p, and in some resolutions and some frame rates, it goes even down to 720p. To me, the curious thing here is that the LUT6 is supposed to be able to accept 4K signal, but when plugged into the Zcam E2-S6, the Zcam E2-S6 doesn't even try, or it's not possible to set it that it outputs a 4K signal there. I'm not sure if it makes a difference because the display is anyway at 1080, but I did find it curious, so I thought I'm going to share it. One thing that I found a little bit weird is that if I set the internal recording resolution at 4K in the Zcam E2-S6, then I plug the Atomos Ninja 5 via the HDMI, the camera outputs actually UHD up to 30 frames per second. It goes down to full HD between 45 and 50 frames per second, and then actually it goes even more down to 720p between 60 and 75 frames per second. However, if I plug the LUT6 monitor into the camera, same 4K resolution, it outputs only full HD up to 30 frames per second, and then it goes even down to 720p from 45 frames per second onwards. The weird thing for me was, if it could output full HD at 45 frames per second to the Ninja 5, why can't it do that to the LAT6? So these are some little quirky things that I'm not sure if they make a difference, but because they were a bit weird, I thought that I'm going to share them. I'm just sharing weird things that I find. One other quirky thing that happened to me, at least, is that when changing the resolutions and having the Atomos Ninja 5 plugged into the camera, time to time the signal was lost. It was not flickering like I've seen in some videos that people have been asking about this in the Facebook community. It just didn't have any signal at all. Sometimes changing the resolution to some other one would just fix the problem, and a couple of times it required me to restart the camera, which of course got me a bit scared about the health of the HDMI connectors, but everything is fine and it's working fine. It's just that it happens sometimes. Changing frame rates or resolutions, I got the signal lost between the camera and the Atomos Ninja 5. And I'm not going to go through all the resolutions each one by one, so you can again take a look or take a snapshot of this table. Just gonna leave it here for a couple of seconds. Okay, there we go. But maybe let's share a couple of highlights or lowlights or a bit quirky things that I did find. One thing that I wanted to highlight, because I believe that I have read some comments that are different to my experience, is that with my S6 plugged into the Atomos Ninja 5, it didn't matter whether I have the information display turned on via the HDMI, or I was using peaking, or I was using other monitoring tools like adding a LAT or having the waveform on. None of these affected the output resolution. I'm not sure if the quality did drop a bit or not. I was mostly paying attention to the output resolutions, and those did not change. Then one thing is that in OpenGate 6K, Cinema 6K 2421, you get only or a maximum of a Full HD or 1080p output. However, Cinema 6K or 6K DCI does give a 4K output. And for some reason, 5K resolution does not output a 4K signal either. So 5K outputs only Full HD. Why is this potentially important? So if you were thinking to record 5K with a Micro Four Thirds lens on your Zcam E2-S6, because the 5K has an effective Micro Four Thirds crop, and you wanted to record internally in 5K and have a 4K backup in your Atomos Ninja 5, that is just not possible. And now you know. Alright, and I hope that all this nerdiness and the table was helpful to somebody. If you did like the video, please like and subscribe, and we're gonna see you soon for some more content.